Kasalukuyan na po nagbibigay ng talumpati si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa harap ng Filipino community sa Indonesia. Panoorin po natin.
My National Security Advisor, General Esperon. With him is a Mindanaoan, grew up in Parang, at isang general ito. He was assigned many years ago sa Davao. Nagkakilala kami. I brought in the 1 battalion of the 2nd Regiment of the Philippine Scout Rangers, si Delfin Lorenzana. And you have the maverick Governor of North Cotabato, Governor Piñol. And of course, you know, Delfin Lorenzana. And you have the maverick Governor of North Cotabato, Governor Piñol. And of course, you know, Ambassador. And yung nakapurma ng D4, ang aking Presidential Legal Advisor, ikaw na pakilala sa iyo, Sal Panelo. Secretary. Then we have si Senator Alan Cayetano. And another cabinet member, taga Davao rin to, Sunny Dominguez. Used to be the Secretary of Agriculture ng panahon ni Cory. And he was once upon a time the president of PAL, Philippine Airlines. Nandito ang isang board, cabinet member, si about Mindanao, si Kahira Lonto, Abdo. You have Ramon Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industry. Si Judy Tigualo of the DSSD. Si ating taga Davao rin, Jesus Doresa of the President's Advisor on Peace Project. At ang ating magiting na taga Mindanao, si Andanar. Si Rita. You know, coming over here, galing sa itas in the elevator, I was just playing with my mind what would be the appropriate topic to talk to you. Well, just the same, it's the burning issue here. It was the issue before. And yung pagtakbo ko ng presidente under the almost moribund PDP, ang membro lang yan, si Senator Coco, pati yung anak niya, si tatay niya, si Pimentel. But I ran under the ticket with only about tatlong governors. At wala akong, except for, wala akong mayor ni isa. Wala akong barangay captain ni isa. Even in Davao, of course, hindi na kailangan. But in other places, 0-0 talaga ako. And twice I wanted to just say, I do not want to run. But then, the last moment, I was a substitute candidate and I agreed to run on a substitution the last minute, the last day for the substitution. Alam mo, ganito kasi yan. Nobody in the horizon of the political arena was talking about the seriousness of the drug problem. Nobody was talking about the number of crimes committed against the innocent and helpless civilians everywhere. Nobody was talking about graft and corruption. Masali yung kanila, yung mabuting anong maganda na gagawin nila pag nahalal sila. Wala namang nagkukwento, and you were the listeners on these days. Anong gawin nila sa problema nila? Anong problema natin ngayon? So, and you must have heard that I was the favorite weeping boy until now sa drugs. Because ikaw naman kasi, kung mayor ka, wala namang mamaniwala sa siyudad ko, sa Davao City, and even elsewhere. Kung sinabi mo lang, huminto kayo kasi bawal yan. It was so widespread and it acquired the mindset of impunity. Yung bahala na, may polis dyan, binabayaran, may mga general, yung sila na mismo. And it was being run from the outside. Yung taga sabihin niyo, where's the big fish? There ain't any in the Philippines. Doon sa labas yan. I cannot name the country because we're still talking to everybody. But we have on the national matrix, yung mga muka, walang muka, pangalan lang, alias, but 4. And they are running the operation of the drugs sa Pilipinas, doon sa kanila. Meron rin silang malaking mapa, digital, at tinatawag lang nila, they can zoom in and zoom in mo sa Pandakan. Kaya may tindahan dyan. Dyan mo i-deliver. Tapos doon sa isang kanto, i-click mo nga. O dyan, kunin mo yung bayad. Ganon eh. Ang nandoon sa Pilipinas were the lieutenants and the garbage collectors. Tawag nila kasi basura eh, ang sa distribution sa streets na. So there was really no way we can cope up with that kind of situation. And I was by a now famous actress on a short run of an X-rated film. Binibira ako niya palagi. And I know then, and I know now that talagang, alam mo, palaki ng ulo yan. Lumaki ang ulo at nag-ambisyon ng maaga. Sometimes it can really destroy you. In her desire, binibira ako ng binibira. So segundo, reputation for notorious. Hinayaan ko lang siya. Pero sa Davao, kasi walang maniwala, sinabi ko na, you know, if you do it in Davao, if you're a drug pusher, if you're a criminal, if you're a kidnapper, gun for hire, it will kill you. Wala na tayong istorya dyan. At talagang sabi ko, wala na. And so, but sabi ko sa kanila, if you have the evidence, file the case in court. Doon na lang tayo mag-istorya. Huwag na dito. Kasi wala naman talaga silang ebidensya. Ebidensya nila, baril ka pala na kung may tao. But anyway, it was the only way. But it was not until I became the President of the Republic of the Philippines na lumabas ang totoo. It was the naked truth that was really very, very terrifying. 2 years before sabi ng PDEA, the Philippines Drug Agency, Enforcement Agency, there were about 3 million already infected with drugs. Nung umupo ako at inipit ko ng lahat, nilabas ko na yung mga pangalan, pati yung mga general, lubas na ng totoo, it turned out thousands were turning in, surrendering, or just going to the police and saying, magparehab kami. So, and there were about 700,000. Yun lang lumabas at yung natakot or whatever reason really wanted a rehabilitation. So how do you cope up with 3,700,000 addicts in this country. You must remember that I went in the service of the government and I was operating on a budget. Alam ninyo yan, that was prepared the previous year. So yung budget ko ngayon does not include treatment or rehabilitation or structures for the 3,700,000. Hindi ako makadagdag ng budget. Sasaya magsusulan naman, supplemental budget. So in-operate ko yung that was prepared by the Aquino administration the previous year para to operate to run the government now. Walang kasali dyan at hindi natin alam na ganun pala kalala ang problema sa droga ng Pilipinas. I was with President Widodo. Mr. President, what's the dimension of your problem? In Indonesia, I have 4 million drug addicts. Eh sabi ko, nauna ka lang pala ng ilang thousand. And we were really very worried. At ganito yan eh. I never made a statement here. Do not believe that. There was never any interview here. But kung mag-spin itong media, that's why I said, if you are really, my advice to you, kaibigan lang. For whatever reason, what can you say? Well, anong masabi mo? No. Because they can spin the story several times over and all lies. I never confronted Obama here. Because I do not know him. Before taking off sa Davao, nakuha naman ng press con. Alam mo, ganito yan. Itong mga yellow, may jaundice eh. At itong mga taga-State Department, National Corp. Hindi yan eh. Sabi ko, United States, why? Oh, should I answer them? Eh, bakit? So, yung ganun. And then that there will be a certain time that Obama will ask me about the human rights problem in Sinabi ko, I do not answer to anybody except the Filipino people. I'm only responsible to you. Kaya sabi ko, who he? Yun ang sinabi ko. If somebody brings it out, and that was at the airport in Davao City, it would be an act of disrespect. Bastos yan. Yun lang ang sinabi ko. And you can review the tapes. Hindi ko sinabing, sinabi ako, pero not in relation to Obama. Sabi ko, wag ninyo akong bastusin. Putang ina nyo, bababuyin ko kayo. Yan man ang sinabi ko. And you can review the tapes because about yesterday, si Ed Lingaw, yung breaking news, naglagay doon ng statement na minura ko daw si Obama. Ed Lingaw just also read it from the report, from the correspondence in Davao. Ni-review niya. Siya yung anchor eh. Then he found out, and nandiyan lumabas sa Facebook, he apologized. Because I never made any reference to Obama. Eh, pinapaway lang. And itong mga Pilipino naman, you can just imagine, you can write an article about the President of the Republic of the Philippines being put to task. But even if it is true na talagang pinatay ko lahat, putang ina, hindi ako sasagot sa iyo. Walang pakialam. Who are you? Bakit? Naliitan ka ba sa akin? Ay, yung iba. Not me. Kaya, sinabi ko sa kanya doon sa holding room, to President Obama and President Duterte, I never made that statement. You can check it out. Check it out. My man will talk to you. Okay. Pero doon kahapon, sa interaction na ASEAN with civil East Asia, nandoon na lahat, round table kami. Sabi ko, itong si Ban Ki-moon, mention it in passing. Well, of course, this is a legitimate statement actually. Pero ako, because of the pressure, na para huminto na sila, sabi ko, since human rights was mentioned, I produced a few pages with pictures in the pacification campaign by the Americans at the turn of the century, 1900s. Of the 600 population, all Muslims. 600,000 Muslims. 6,000 were murdered. They were just buried in a common pit. Naghukay lang tapos yung mga sundalo pinapatungan pa yung dibdib ng babae na nakahubad. This is human rights. What do you intend to do? Do not tell me that it's water under the bridge. A human right violation, whether committed by Moses or Abraham, is still a violation of human rights. When was this philosophy about the human dignity and the human right evolved? Now? Or during this time? Tumahimik sila. Kasi ako handa na ako. I was waiting for Obama to respond. Dito, abogado tayo. Pareho man tayo abogado. Sige daw? Sige daw? Wala. And that was the only encounter. That was the only exchange. At the holding room, and I said, I never made that statement. Check it out. And then doon, napika na talaga ako, tapusin na natin itong issue about the human rights. Takot-takutin mo ako. Ito kasi yung State Department, para itong mga ulol na nagsama-sama dyan. Para bang, kung tayo, violation. Sa kanila, hindi. Yung mga tao na doon sa pinagpapatay ng pulis, nakahiga lang sa... At ang hindi nila alam, yung lahat ng tao doon, hindi kanila. Indonesia has a death penalty. President Widodo stood his ground, and I salute him. Cambodia is a satellite of China. Laos is a... Kanila yan satellite. China, nandyan lang yan sila sa periphery. And even Thailand. Death penalty lahat yan. Tayo, walang death penalty. So, sinong magbigay na ng death penalty? Hindi, si Duterte. Sabi nila, ngayon, kung may media ng Pilipinas, yan, putulin yan. Sabi ng Duterte siya, yung sabi nila, wala na yan. Ganun ang media. Be careful. Be very careful about the media. Hindi ako ng experience. I've been the mayor of the city of Davao for 23 years. I've been congressman there once, and once upon a time, I served for 3 years to be the vice mayor of my daughter. Yung isa ring human rights violator, yung binugbog yung sheriff. Pero there was never any... Now, ito ngayon, what am I supposed to do? China offered to help and build the rehab. I think they have started on Magsaysay. They're bringing the materials there already. It's only China na nagtulong sa atin. Magtulong. Ang Amerika, they just give you principles of law and nothing else. Wala man akong away sa Amerika. But don't ever believe that they are Jesus Mario, sir. Kaya hindi nila alam yung lahat doon. Pati ito si Ban Ki-moon nakihalo. I also gave a statement before, but several weeks ago, about the human rights violation. Sabi ko, isa ka pang tarantado. Kaya nag-speech siya, may human right, pero tapos hindi ka, ganun ka kaya. Lumano, sumibat. Sabi ko, well, there has to be a limit to one's patience. Never gave any statement here. I made a statement of fact, doon mismo sa plenary. Yung kami-kami na lang. Pinalabas yung mga kamera, lahat, press. Kami lang, mga sila, si Junyasay, si Panelo, and the two generals, nandoon sila. And I think Sunny Dominguez was there. So they were squirming at first. Pero ako, wala mang nakaalam na yung speech ko hindi ko binasa. When it was handed to me, it was General Esperano handed it to me. Nung sabi, this is my speech, tinapong ko ng ganon. Kung makinig kayo sa akin. Mahusay ako sa inyong lahat, anak ng putang-utang. Ngayon ko sana, I've been in politics for 40 years. I never lost an election. I became president. I really don't know what happened. Basta, andito na ako ngayon sa harap ninyo. Wala akong extra achievement. It took me 7 years to graduate from high school. Ang kababata ko, Sunny Dominguez, is the brightest. Ang kababata ko dito, puro Davao to lang. Kababata, Duresa, valedictorian. Sunny, but he was grade 1 kami hanggang high school. Kasi sa grade second year, na-expelled na ako. Pinaalis ako ng Ateneo. Sabi na pare, umalis ka. Sige, umalis ako. Tacondigos, it used to be a municipality. It was only one Davao at the time. Then from there on, isang ikot pa ako sa mga eskwelana. It took me 7 years. Kaya yung nanay ko, desperation. Kaya yung mga Bisaya, if you'd notice, aming Visayan culture, pag sinabihan ka, hanggang pantalan ka lang. Di ba? Bugoy ka, kargador ka. When it comes to derision, wala, pantalan lang to. And that was what my father used to say. The sad thing is he never got to see me emotionally maturing. To his death, akala niya, pantalan lang talaga ako. Wala akong magawa. Sabi nga ng nanay ko narinig mo yung tatay mo. Ano sinabi niya? Sabi ko, hanggang pantalan lang daw ako, ma. Hanggang pantalan ko lang talaga. Sabi ko, okay man, ma, basta bayaran lang ako sa kinarga ko. Okay naman sa akin yan. So, itong back ng mama, I have assembled the best of puro art to God. He was my classmate Kansan Beda. He was a valedictorian. Ako last lang. Ako consistent ako 75 hanggang pagkabaka. Ako lang ang walang Sila lahat almost mag-graduate Panelo. Sani naging president sa PAL. Ito mga presidente ng siguro. Pero ako ang pinaka-presidente sa kanila. Kasi trabahante ko sila Kaya huwag kayo mamadali. Yung high school na yan, take your time and it's like wine. You have to have that vintage. But anyway, disgrasya lang naman talaga itong lahat. I don't know if God has a purpose for me. Pero sasabihin ko sa inyo kung hindi ako nanalo, delikado talaga ang Pilipino. Why? I'll tell you, yung si Garbo, General, was the military aide of Rojas. Sus, hindi lalabas ang by the thousands. Nung nakita nila, puro tumba na. Patay dito. Isang gabi, 15 killed. Naglabasan lahat. Paano yung pinatay? Yan ang problema ng United Nations. Hindi ko talaga alam paano pinatayan. But what I know is that almost to date, 1,000. But ako sabihin ko siya, what is really 1,000 lives to the 3,700,000? Ang problema namin kasi ni Presidente Widodo is, ang cocaine, pati heroin, is maybe marijuana, all organic, naturally grown. Itong shabu, metamapakin, is a combination of deadly chemicals. Ang tubig ginagamit niyan magluto ka ng shabu, yung tubig ng baterya sa sakyan mo. It's really acid. Sabi ng forensics ng Amerika, hindi atin, 6 months to 1 year, it will shrink your brain, and therefore, rehabilitation is no longer viable. So what am I supposed to do with this crazy zombies running loose? That is why the most heinous crime, nakita nyo tayong kaedad ko, wala. Marijuana. But when shabu came in, the most heinous crime, the heinous crime of all crimes, mag-rape ng 1-year-old na bata, mag-rape ng nanay niya, lula niya, patay niya, tatay niya. Ang problema lang kasi nitong human rights, hindi nila alam, this crazy thing will create so many dysfunctional family. Pag may isa kang anak na sa droga, maghiwalay na yan. Maghiwalay ang asawa niyan. Sige na nakaw ng bagay sa iyo yan. And you put people at risk. Kasi yan naglalakad, din naman yung anak ng mga mayaman. Kaya namin mga estudyante, kami noon, kami dito, estudyante, probinsyano man ito. Except Sunny, maybe, but kami, lakad kami. Sakay kami. Hold upin ka. Tapos yung babae dyan, basta na lang nakaparking, pati pulis, sumali sa kalukuhan. Lagyan ng droga. Ikaw ang nanay ngayon, sabihin ng anak sa iyo, Ma, kilala man ninyo ako, bakit ako magamit ng ano? Sabihin ng pulis, nakita namin sa kotse niya kasi pagbukas, ihulog. Kasi pati ang pulis, putang ina nakasawsaw. Kaya ako galit, pati pulis talagang pinapatay ko putang ina ninyo. Let's say kayo. Mauna kayo. Pulis ka, nandiyan ka droga. Uno. Siguro mga pulis naman tayo, sobra 50 na. Yan ang ayaw ko doon. Because it has destroyed the fabric of our society. But it has created a dysfunctional family here and there. And eventually, it will destroy the generation. That's why I said, if you do drugs in this country, I will kill you. Why? Because you will destroy a whole of the generation. Ang ating mga anak, ilan lang naman kayo nasa labas na talagang you can supervise the education and the way your daughters and sons study and live. But karamihan doon, just like in the Middle East, there are millions of Filipinos working outside, both husband and wife. And they work their ass to death to earn money to send their children to school back home. Only to realize that when he comes home that his daughter is hooked with drugs. And the son or his girl is raped, killed. So they're forever afraid of what's happening at home. Kaya sinabi ko, I will try to, pag ako ang na presidente, I will promise you a clean government and a clean Philippines. And I have 6 years to do it. And even if it take me the whole of the 6 years, I will do it. It will be relentless. I am sorry if you die in the process. But all you have to do, my advice, is very simple. Stop. And if your son or daughter is already crazy with a shrunk brain, my advice to you is spending the completion of the rehab centers which you are really trying to build now. Next year, meron na, because we are preparing the budget now. The next year, when it is in operation, I will have the money to build for the 3,600,000 drug addicts of our country. Now, China is helping us. I would like to thank China for being so generous to us. And I would like to thank President Widodo for understanding, and I'm here to get an agreement with him because there is so much piracy in the seas, in the high seas between Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia. Maybe I will have even just a memorandum of a note verbal where we can agree that hot pursuit, those pirates that are being chased out of the territorial waters of Indonesia and in the high seas and in towards the jurisdictional waters of the Philippines, they can they have the right to go in. So when the chase is started, and even in the high seas, the rule sa international water is this: if you are a pirate, you can be arrested by any nation because piracy or piracy is a crime against humanity. But this time we make it clear that if the chase began in Indonesia here, then crosses the chase continues in the international waters, and if they are really fast enough also inside now the Philippine waters, they can go ahead and blast them off. That's the agreement. Pasabugin mo lahat. That's what that's what my words actually I was seated with the President Widodo. And I said, blow them up. And if there is a hostage, usually it is the sailors, then I will just have to maybe crowd him in and arrest them and execute them. In the Philippines, it's not allowed to. That's why I said, maybe if there are sharks around, and just feed them to the sharks. It would make them fat. Good for sashimi also. So yan ho ang ano ko dito. Do not put so much premium on media. Wala. I never really granted any interview. The only statement I made was when I said to President Obama and President Duterte, I never made that statement. Check it out. And that statement I could only refer to in the holding room of the airport in Davao City, Philippines. Here, I never answered anybody, except during the last day, and there was this ASEAN East Asia. So I pulled. We were warned that we were only limited prepared speech, but it was handed to me. I just threw it away, and I said, "I'd like to say something more than that." Since we have been talking about human rights, then I pulled out the. Look at the pit. Look at the bodies crowded there. They could number 200. And one soldier was holding his rifle with his feet on the breast of a Moro. Now, tell me now, Can anybody here in this room? I asked them. Can anybody in this room tell me what human rights is all about? No, you see, we are just fighting in Mindanao. Mindanao could never be healed because of this. Alam mo kasi ang tingin, para maintindihan lang nyo, just give out 2 minutes. Ganito yan eh. When Magellan, the conquistadores, landed in Leyte, somewhere in the Visayas, he brought down with him cannons, gunpowder, the muskets, the rifle, the swords, and the soldiers. First time that we saw them, our forefathers. And we were scared because when the cannon was fired, boom, and they saw so many persons die. So they established a foothold in the Visayas, and from island to island, they conquered the Philippines and subjugated my country for 400 years. Not having enough, they traveled to Mindanao. Mindanao originally was not really a part of these islands. Mindanao belonged to the Sri Visayas Empire of the Malay. So at that time, 1521, Mindanao was already 100% Islam, just like Sabah, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So when the Spaniards came there, they started to slaughter the natives, the Moro. Then during the pacification, because Spain lost a war against America, and Spain ceded by the Treaty of Paris ang Pilipinas, kasali ang Guam. Kaya if you have been to Guam, pangalan nila puro Espanyol. Because we were ordered to adopt a name and a surname of Spanish origin. Yan ang nakahirap dyan. So, from the Americans, there was this republic. And this republic is an extension in the eyes of the Moro. This republic, from the Spaniards to the Americans, because the seat of power is Malacañang. This government, our government now, is just an extension of the original imperial government of Spain. Kaya hindi nila matanggap kasi yung ang nagpasa sa gobyerno na ito sa amin, pinagpapatay yung Moro. And that is why we are having peace talks. Ako naman, kasi ang lola ko, Moro. Maranao. Ang lolo ko, Chinese. My father was si Visayan. So if you ask me, because we copy our lineage from our fathers, I would always tell them, I'm a Visayan. Now, why is there, like yesterday I said, why is there hatred until now? Why is it that Mindanao, until now, since the time of the Spaniards and the Americans, that there is no healing at all? Why? Because they were slaughtered by the imperialists. And I have this picture to show. Look at the naked bodies. Several of them. 6,600,000 inhabitants. Estimated at the time. By the Americans, not by us. And what 6,000 of them were murdered. That is the problem now. But if our Moro brothers, I can talk freely because ako nanay, ang lola ko Moro eh. So I can tell them, so what we do? We fight to death or we talk? It is time really to use the phrase water under the bridge. Because I myself would never allow the oppression of the Moro people in Mindanao. But neither would I. So everything must be equal. So we're having our talks with the left, and from the looks of it, by the grace of God, we are communicating already. Then we have the MI and the MN left agreeing to talk with us. So, ang naiwan itong Abu Sayyaf. But the Abu Sayyaf in their cruelty also, copying the ISIS of the Middle East, plus the historical injustice. Yan, para maintindihan ninyo. Hindi tayo, Mindanao was never a part. Talagang pinilit lang nila. So that, why are there Christians in Mindanao? Plenty. The reason why, no Moro would work for the Americans. They wanted to develop Mindanao because there's no typhoon. It's below the typhoon belt. And anything you throw it to the ground grows. It's fertile, it has a good climate, and once in a while we have a storm, but it's almost after 15, 20 years. So they wanted to develop it. No more would work for them. So what did they do? They came up with this sloganeering, go to Mindanao because it is the land of promise. Diba? So, by hordes of thousands, nagbabaan yung mga pobreng Pilipino. Only to realize that the land was already subdivided into cadastrals and homesteads, and titles were given mostly, although not their fault at that time, because that was in 1900s early. There was yet no, wala namang radyo noon eh, and our mails would be late as something like 3 to 4 weeks, almost 1 month, for a letter to arrive in Manila. So most of the guys there got the premium lands for all Tagalogs. No fault of theirs. Yan ang istorya dyan. So yung mga Pilipino, the proximity of the Visayas, very near, when they started it, going down. So now we outnumber, or at least kayong mga Kristiyanos, we outnumber the Moro in population. So that is how it is. It's Abu Sayyaf. They are now officially telling everybody that they are with ISIS. And that makes it doubly really terrible. We'll have to do something about this because I said, and I had to come here to talk to President Widodo to talk about how we can control piracy in the Malacca Straits and those ships traveling between Indonesia and the Philippines and Malaysia. I don't know how we do it, but Malaysian representatives are not here, so it could only be a partnership. But we would issue, after this, I'm going to have a meeting with President Widodo, and I hope that we can hammer out a good or craft something that's really useful and functional to control crime in this area. We can only, it's only Indonesia, Malaysia who can help us, nobody else. Nobody. It seems to me that everybody is scared. There is not even a decisive move in the South China Sea. We have only two options there. We talk or we fight. Philippines to fight China, it will be slaughter. So we talk. So we cannot match. You know, I tell you something. The Defense Secretary is here. The National Security Advisor of the President of the Republic of the Philippines. My advisor is here. We are recipients of so many things from America. Thank you for your generosity. But they sold us only two F-50As. It's F-50A. but they never give us the missiles and the bullets and the cannons to fire from that. For seremonya lang. Zoom! Kaya ako, when I was inaugurated president, I told him, do not waste. That's why I only had my oath thinking very simple in Malacanang. It was not at Luneta because I did not want to bother people with the huge congestion. I do not even accept invitations in Manila. Why? Every time the president travels in Manila, it would create a huge traffic. When the PSG, they would just calculate. President is going down, he's shaking hands, and in about so everything there, all corners of where my entourage would pass are all closed. So exponentially, yung sa likod yan, para yan. And it's about 15 minutes in anticipation for the president. If you're the president of the Republic of the Philippines, you must be an idiot to see that you're the only one running there on the road, and yet people are suffering. That's why I told them I cannot accept your invitation. If it's a walking distance from Malacanang, I will do it. Yeah, but I do not want. That is why yung sa Pope, it was really a statement against the Pope. At itong Amerikano, mahusay talaga. Americans really can spin a story. They use the predicate or the adjective that is really worst to hear. Now, let me just give you. People judge best when they condemn. Ang pinakamahusay na husga ng tao, yung mahirap para kung maghusga siya sa kanyang kapwa. Lalabas yung the best of the people judge best when they condemn. Yung putang ina sa atin, they connected with the word son of a whore. A whore is a very terrible thing to hear. I was talking all along in the dialect. The best combination there of the words translated to English. And they do it every day. Son of a bitch. Son of a gun. Di ba? Yung putang ina sa atin, if we, the Filipinos, will try to enter it, we would have said, son of a bitch. And you are a son of a gun, or you. Pero it is not translated in any ordinary day. In an ordinary language, you say, son of a whore. Pero ginamit nila yan, kaya siguro si took offense. Tingnan mo magamit ng international press. I said, you better watch out. Pangkaraniwan sa everybody, whether American, African, who knows English, would say, son of a bitch, son of a gun. It is not son of a whore. There's never a translation for that. Di ba? Pero when they are after you, they would, I said, make it appear to be the worst of you. Kaya bantay ka sa press. They can spin any international. They will spin everything to make you. Me? I don't give a shit. Why? Because I am not the president of the international community. Sabi na, my reputation is bad. I said, I don't give a shit. I am the president of the Republic of the Philippines, not the Republic of the international community. You can all go to hell. I will do what I think is best for my country, to the best interest of the Philippines. And if there's anybody baski saan, human rights, I will continue the campaign against the criminals. I do not have any pity for them. And I said to the police, and remember this because they would cut it off again. Then the rule in almost all over the world is, when you are placed under arrest, the guy there would say, this is the police, you have committed a wrong, surrender. Then he would try to bring you to the justice, the court of justice. You must be taken into custody. Kaya nga, how do you take into custody a person if he refuses? You just have to drag him, just like in the movie. You put some handcuff there. That's standard, even in America. So, but invariably, we do not do it. There's always a fight. So, itong tao ito will get mad and, will just fight. Then he is dragged. He suffers some bruises and wounds. When he is now in court, he would tell the lawyer, or the lawyer would suggest we file a case against the policeman for a leverage. Yan ang nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Takot ang police. Police are afraid to face charges because the day that they are suspended, there's no more money to buy food on the table. Do you know how much is the starting salary of a police in the Philippines? 14,000. And if you have 3 children, and you have to feed them, kaya dinoble ko, dobleado na sila ngayon. The military and the police have doubled their salary. Ngayon kung magnakaw ka pa, anak ng putang ino, babarilin talaga kita, letse ka. I have doubled the salaries, and I protect them. Only when your life is in danger in the process of taking custody of the criminal, and there is a violent resistance that would threaten your life, then shoot. And because all of the shabu users, that's according to their forensics, that it would shrink the brain, everybody has a gun. One of the things that would come first is last 2 minutes. Kung alam ko lang ganito, last 2 minutes, then nag-rubber shoes na lang ako nung laro tayo ng basketball dito. So that's my order. If you are in danger of losing your life and you are a peace officer, shoot. So that's what happened. So we lost the idiots, almost said 1,000 of them. That's the law. What can we do? So I have a job to do. I got 15 million votes, 16 million votes. 6 million of that was the majority between my closest opponent. I got 6 million over. So what's the message of the people? Stop corruption in government. It will stop, I will assure you. Or else they will be part of the statistic there in 1,000. I will suppress drugs, and in the fullness of God's time, maybe two years or 1.5 years, you can walk about in the Philippines free of the fear of being mugged. Only if... but you have to pray, not because you love me. You have to pray because you need me. I'm going home tonight. If the plane will go down in the Silibis, no more cabinet members. You have to pray that you have to keep me alive for the next God, I bring the warm wishes of the Filipino people to him. And one of those who would you contribute to the GNP, the gross national product from the outside. So we are afloat by the industry of the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po.